وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we were speaking and elaborating on the different meanings of La ilaha illallah, and we talked about last week or for the past couple of weeks that the tafsir of La ilaha illallah, given the details of it, comes in all these different variety of khutab and series of lectures and lessons that we've been given for almost more than a year. From the tafsir of La ilaha illallah, when a person takes that covenant with Allah Ta'ala, like we said, the meaning of it is now that you have written a contract. And we know that that contract has to be fulfilled with stipulations. And those stipulations had to be fulfilled or else the contract is nullified. We said that from the meanings of, or from the different tafasir, from the various different lessons that we gave, all goes back to giving a tafsir of the details of the meaning of La ilaha illallah. From those meanings, like we talked about last week, when you say La ilaha illallah, it's binding upon you certain matters. It's obligatory for you to comply with those matters, or hence you have nullified your contract. And we know that once one has nullified his contract, when he stands in front of the one who you signed the contract with, then you will find on the day of resurrection where it really counts, that contract is null and void because you did not come what validates the contract, rather you came with that which will nullify it. Or you will come with that which will render it incomplete. As we have those nawaqid, that which will nullify it, and then you have those affairs that will render it incomplete. Your contract is incomplete. From those affairs that nullifies it is what we've been talking about for more than a year now. And everyone knows that the minhaj, the da'wah of all the prophets is to talk about these affairs first. And what you'll find that those deviant masajid and those deviant places do not start with these affairs first. They don't start with rectifying the heart and rectifying the foundation firstly, which is the da'wah of all the prophets, is to speak about the monotheism and single out Allah in His worship. From those affairs that will nullify your contract is the next chapter that continues from last week. We talked about how slaughtering or offering a sacrifice for other than Allah is considered polytheism. And also likewise during those different a'yad, as we'll talk about likewise in this brief khutbah bi'idhnillah, how the a'yad likewise, the different celebrations that the kuffar now celebrate, which are innovated paganistic celebrations that due to the ignorance of the Muslims that they indulge in it, not realizing that majority, if not all of these holidays have paganistic, idolistic practices in it, which as a result, if you practice it, it will nullify your contract, which is La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Paganistic practices that the Muslims stay far away from, and which is binding upon every Muslim like to set out and put forth his utmost effort to making sure that his contract is valid with Allah, to stay far away from those detrimental affairs that will render it null and void. Continuing now in this brief khutbah, which is also a continuation from last week, the bab in which the great Imam al-Mujaddid rahimahullah rahmatun wasi'ah, Shaykh Muhammad Abdul-Wahhab rahimahullah, in which you will find that the majority of the deviant sects hate him. Why? Because he's calling to that which is the pure methodology and the pure creed in which Muhammad was upon and his companions. And we know that the majority of the deviant sects from the Muslims make war with this, and it's a shame. The next chapter that he entitled, باب لا يذبح لله بمكان يذبح فيه لغير الله. The chapter which comes is slaughtering offering a sacrifice for Allah in a place in which the pagans or the polytheists offered in it a sacrifice for other than Allah. Meaning it's not permissible for slaughter in those places, which you'll find that the pagans or the polytheists or those who upon disbelief put forth and offer those sacrifices, or likewise they partook in those celebrations. In the areas where they partake in their celebrations, likewise, it's not permissible to slaughter in those places. As we know, not only as you'll find it to perfect the perfect religion of what we're upon, bi'idhnillah, we ask Allah to keep us firm upon it. Not only did the Prophet ﷺ came to destroy polytheism and paganism in all of its aspects, not only did the Prophet ﷺ make war with it and destroyed it by when he died, polytheism was under his feet, ﷺ, and paganism was under his feet. And worship of other than Allah in the Jazeera al-Arab became extinct for a period of time. Likewise, the Prophet ﷺ came with affairs in order to likewise clarify to the people the roads and the methods that will lead you to this destructive method and this destructive road. That's why it's been entitled, a person does not slaughter in a place where it's slaughtered in it for other than Allah, in order to prevent polytheism from taking place. And the great Imam, he started off with this tremendous ayah, where Allah Ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا مَسْجِدًا ضِرَارًا وَكُفْرًا وَتَفْرِيقًا بَيْنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَإِرْصَادًا لِمَنْ حَارَبَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولَهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَلَا يَحْلِفُنَّ إِنْ أَرَدْنَا إِلَى الْحُسْنَى وَاللَّهُ يَشْهَدُ إِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ لا تقم فيه أبدا ولمسجد أسس على التقوى من أول يوم أحق أن تقوم فيه فيه رجال يحبون أن يتطهروا والله يحب المطهرين أفمن أسس بنيانه على تقوى من الله ورضوان خير أم من أسس بنيانه على شفا جرف هار فانهار به في نار جهنم Wallahu la yahdi al-qawm al-zalimeen. Where he starts off the ayah where Allah Ta'ala says in this book, those who took the masjid al-Dirar, the masjid that was called Dirar, that Allah Ta'ala himself called it Dirar. Those who took it as a place in order to cause harm between the Muslims, and likewise disbelief, and set up a place in order to spread it and propagate disbelief amongst the people. And also likewise to cause dissension and separation between the believers. تَفْرِيقًا بَيْنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَإِرْصَادًا لِمَنْ حَارَبَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولَهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ. And as a base, a fundamental place that they use and utilize to make war with Allah and His Messenger. And they said they would swear by Allah, we did not want except good. And Allah testifies, verily, indeed they are liars. Do not pray in it ever. For verily a masjid that has been established and fundamentally established upon the fear of Allah. He says it's better than that which has been established upon the anger of Allah Ta'ala. And he says, ala shafa jurufin harin. He says that which is upon a plunging destructive edge. Let it plunge inside of the hell of fire, or the side of the hellfire. Or let it plunge inside of hell. And Allah Ta'ala does not guide those who are zalimeen. And Allah Ta'ala loves those who purify themselves. And Allah Ta'ala, verily there are men in the masjid that purify themselves. And Allah Ta'ala loves those who are purified, or keeps themselves purified. If you notice in the tafsir of the ayah, Allah Ta'ala talked about those that was called, or the place called Masjid al-Dirar. This Masjid al-Dirar, or this place, was utilized by the hypocrites. From Abu Amir al-Fasiq al-Khazraji, who was from the Munafiqeen. He was from the hypocrites. And he wanted to cause dissension amongst the believers and try to destroy Islam from inside. As we know, hypocrisy was the most dangerous, because there are people that come, dress as a Muslim, look as a Muslim, grows a beard like a Muslim, has a thobe high above his ankles, and his whole purpose is having an ulterior motive to come in and destroy them from within. That's the reason why their punishment is more severe than the people who are upon disbelief. Because the people upon disbelief, the enemy is open, from the outside coming in. But the enemy that comes in to try to impersonate you, to look exactly like you, and to try to destroy you from within, are more dangerous than the outside enemy. For verily Abu Amr al-Khazraji, he went to Heraclius, and he spoke to him and said that we will aid you. Heraclius said that we will aid you, meaning the munafiqeen, that we will give you aid, and we will give you supplies, and give you what you need in order to bring down Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to tear down the Muslims. But however, you have to establish a base for us. Establish for us a base. So in that case, when we want to send our people and even send our books, why did he say specifically his books? Because he knew likewise the major strength of the Muslims came from their belief and the pure belief system of what they had in their hearts. He wanted to send his books in order to pollute the belief. Because once you polluted the belief and likewise you killed them off, you have annihilated them from every aspect. So he said, we want to send books and supplies to you. So upon this, the munafiqeen came to the Prophet ﷺ. And he asked, O Messenger of Allah, pray in our masjid that we have one made for those who are weak and those who are sick, especially in the long, cold winter nights. The Messenger of Allah was preparing to go to Ghazwat Tabuk. And he said, when I come and I return, I will pray. I will come in the masjid, inshallah. Inna ala safarin, fa idha raja'na, inshallah bi'idhnillah, sanusalli fi. When the Messenger of Allah came from the expedition of Tabuk, Allah sent down revelation to him. Either from when he was about to arrive, from either a day or some of a day, Allah sent down revelation to expose them. Exposing them and saying that they only took their masjid, that the motive behind it and the intent behind it was these destructive type of beliefs, in order to destroy the Muslims and bring them down. The Prophet ﷺ had commanded Malik ibn Dukhsham radiyallahu anhu to come and destroy it and to also burn it down. For this type of dalil, bi'idhnillah, Shaykh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab uses as a dalil to say that it's not permissible to partake in slaughtering for other than in those places, to offer a sacrifice for Allah, meaning from those animals, in a place where those different types of parties or celebrations or sacrifices that were polytheistic or paganistic, if it took place in that place, then it's not permissible for to slaughter in it, nor likewise also, as it says in the ayah, you'll find that the Prophet ﷺ did not pray in the masjid. And we ask Allah ta'ala to increase us in insight. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi wahdah, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi, wa man tamassaka bi sunnatihi ila yawm ad-din, wa sallama tasliman kathira amma ba'd. As far as the ahkam pertaining to the munafiqeen, Ahlul Sunnah you'll find from a Salafiyyin. And there's nothing wrong with calling yourself Salafi. And there's nothing wrong with calling yourself Sunni Athari. Rather, you will find that the ulama say in these days it's time is obligatory for you to do that. Why? Because all of the Muslims say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and all of them say they Muslim. How can you distinguish between those who are upon those deviant ideologies and those who are upon the correct and the upright methodology and the upright belief? There has to be a distinction because all of them say they're Muslim. And the Prophet mentioned clearly, said that my ummah will do what? They will separate into 73 sects. All of them are in hell except one. My ummah will separate into 73 sects. All of them are hell except one. And it's in the Sahihain. So we say, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, there's nothing wrong with calling yourself Salafi. Rather, you have to make yourself distinct from all those other deviant Muslims who are upon a deviant belief and a wicked belief. And the people cannot distinguish between who is who. You go to another masjid and another Muslims, how many of them have beards like us? Thobes like us. Look exactly like us, and they're not upon what we're upon. And if you speak to them, you'll say, SubhanAllah, what are you practicing? But looks just like you. That's why you'll find the ahkam in regards to the munafiqeen even plays in some aspects. You will find there is also resemblance with the people of innovation. Why? Because all of them, what? They come in the form of being Muslim and they destroy the Muslims from within. That's why they're dangerous. Especially to those callers who call to these wicked methodologies. They all look like you, sound like you, quote ayat, quote ahadith like you. And they're not what you're upon. Rather, they make war with you. That's why, like we said, you will find resemblance in which you will find that the munafiqeen, that the people of innovations have resemblance. Because all of them say that they're Muslim, and all of them, they manifest that which is so-called Islam. They manifest it. But however, they are upon something that's totally in contrast with what the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were upon. So we say, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, in regards to the ayah, Allah Ta'ala says in his book, those who took the message of dirar as a base in order to make war with Allah and his messenger from before. He said, verily, we did not intend to accept good. And Allah testifies that they indeed are liars. Do not stand in it and pray in it ever. For verily that which has been established upon taqwa from the first day is more deserving that you pray in it. Verily in it there are men that love to purify themselves. And Allah loves those who keep themselves pure. Listen to the tafsir of this ayah. The Prophet ﷺ came, when this ayah was revealed, he asked some of the Muslimun who were living in the area around Masjid al-Quba. And he said, what is that? He said, فَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ ثَنَا عَلَيْكُمْ فما هذا الشيء الذي تفعلونه قال يا رسول الله عندنا جيران إن لنا جيران من اليهود وكانوا يغسلون أدبارهم من الغائط بالماء وبالطهور فكنا نغسل أدبارنا من الطهور من الماء من الغائط فقال فهو ذاك فعليكموه. He said, for verily, he says, what is the thing that Allah has praised you because? It's something that you do that Allah has praised you because of it. What is it? He said, verily, we had neighbors. We had neighbors from the Yahud, from the Jews. He says, and when they used to go to the bathroom, and after they finished, they would cleanse themselves with water and make sure they was purified of all different types of impurities. Whether they be from the gha'id or that which is of urine or that which is of feces, they would cleanse themselves from it completely. He says, and likewise, after them, we took water and make sure that we were purified after we came from the bathroom. He says, that is exactly the reason. He says, keep doing it. Abu Aliyah also mentioned and it said in regards to this ayah. He says, also likewise, those who keep themselves cleansed and pure from sins. It also comes and coincides with the meaning of the ayah. He says, for cleansing and keeping himself cleansed from those sins, which is absolutely correct. For verily deviant methodologies of polytheism and disbelief, that which corrupts the heart is more impure than that which is the outside impurity. The purity of the belief of those deviant type of methodologies, belief in democracy, and belief in liberalism, and belief in Marxism, and belief that there's no deity worthy of worship, and belief that Allah is everywhere, or belief that Allah is in feces, or belief that Allah has no attributes. All those are deviant methodologies that are more disgusting and worse than outside impurities. They are more filthy and disgusting than outside impurities. How would you think and how would you have if someone had urine on your body and you had ghal, you had some type of impurity on your clothes? You would rush to make sure that it was cleansed. That's outside. What about the belief? that's even more deserving that you hasten to purify it, because it is worse. The belief of disbelief that Allah is the third of three, or that Allah came as the son of Allah, as Allah Ta'ala in the final revelation had purified Isa, Jesus the son of Mary, when he said in his book that Jesus never died on the cross. They did not crucify Jesus the son of Mary. They killed another individual, and Allah put the resemblance on him. So they thought they killed Jesus, but they didn't. Allah have foiled their plot. So those who put a big cross and wear it around their necks, Allah has said in his final revelation to all humanity that no one can tamper with, because it's a proven fact to this day that the Quran, numerous attempts have been made from so many other people, and all of them have failed. When they tried to alter or change the Quran, every single last one of them failed. So when you open the book of Allah, and you likewise go to the sunnah of the last messenger to all humanity, you know 100% it's authentic information for Rabbul Alameen. And from that authentic information that Allah put in his book, he said to the creation that Jesus never was crucified. There was a lie in which the Christians to this day still believe. Rather, Allah put the resemblance on another individual and they killed him in his place. So the fact that you are wearing a polytheistic, paganistic type of cross around your neck is disbelief. Absolute disbelief. Because Allah himself said it. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. Verily Allah said in his final revelation, they have disbelieved who said that Allah is the son, or Jesus is the son of Allah. They have disbelieved who said that Allah is the third of three. These are the ideologies we have to keep ourselves purified far away from, because they are more disgusting than outside impurities, ya ma'ashal ikhwa. And also likewise from the deviant sects, from the Muslimun who believe from the Khawarij, from the ideologies of ISIS and their pathetic ways, and their disgusting ideologies, in which the Prophet ﷺ clearly said that if they die, they will be from the dogs of hell. Rather, he repeated it almost 7 times. That he said, they're the dogs of hell, they're the dogs of hell, they're the dogs of hell, they're the dogs of hell. For verily, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, keeping yourself pure in your belief is the most sacred and the most ultimate thing that every Muslim has to set out to actualize. Protecting your heart from wicked beliefs. And the heart is the weakest, it is the most sacred, and also likewise it's the most sensitive. And likewise it constantly flips. For verily one has to be clear that when he is listening and putting his ear to someone that is teaching his religion, he knows 100% without a shadow of a doubt what he is given is authentic information, because the heart is very weak. It sucks in. When you're listening, it goes right directly here. And it will penetrate it. And once it clings to it, it's hard for what? Once it becomes attached, that belief, it becomes hard now for it to be cured and for it to be released. That's why a person used to always, even a Salaf, when they would listen to the people of deviation, they would put their fingers in their ears to say, don't give me even a tafsir of one ayah or one verse in the book of Allah, out of fear that some deviance will fall into their heart. And they would go astray as a result of it. And likewise, also this heart that the Prophet ﷺ said you have to protect. There is a shaddu inqilaban min al-qidari inda ghalayaniha. It's the hadith of which comes in the Sahihain. When the Prophet ﷺ also mentioned, which also been authenticated by the Imam al-Albani, where he says, inna al-qalb la ashaddu inqilaba min al-qidari inda ghalayaniha. Verily the heart, he says it constantly changes and flips so much. He said more than a boiling pot, or more than a pot when it reaches its boiling point. That it constantly flips and flips and flips. One day it could be upon disbelief, and then tomorrow Allah can guide an individual. And then you could be upon guidance today, and be upon istiqamah of rightness today. And you could be upon the correct belief today and the correct methodology today, and then Allah can flip it on you. And then you will be upon at the least a deviant methodology. And at the worst you will be from those who are upon disbelief. Because the heart constantly flips and flips and flips. And you have to constantly ask Allah to keep you steadfast and keep your heart firm, especially in these days and times. Because that which is of the most dangerous of affairs, the doors are wide open now from all of the internet. The doors of disbelief and the doors of the corruption of people's hearts is vast now. And it's easy for you to attain it, even if it's in the palm of your hand. You could just open your phone up, go and listen to a wrong individual, you pollute your heart that fast. Corrupts your belief. And also likewise, the second road of destruction that we know is also the destructions of sins, in which the Prophet ﷺ also likewise warned us against. That door is so vast and wide open now. It's easy for a person's foot to slip into sin. So fast. Just by opening up your phone. And this is what I said in the beginning of the khutbah, that sins, when you come on the day of resurrection, your contract you claim when you come with your contract in front of Allah, when you meet your Creator, because all of us are going to meet Allah. And then when everything in the scrolls are laid out for what we did in this dunya, you will find that you did certain affairs that rendered your contract incomplete. From those affairs that render your contract incomplete is the sins. The sins will make it incomplete if one doesn't follow it up with tawbah to Allah and make sure that he's also has that veracity and he's truthful in it and he fulfilled all the conditions in it. For ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, from verily this is from the affairs, like we said, from that which is completing the monotheism in your worship. All of us have been created for one thing. We're on this earth for one purpose. That which is to purify the ubudiyyah of Allah. To actualize the ubudiyyah of Allah. The ubudiyyah meaning no worship of Allah and submitting and bowing your head down to Allah. And submitting to His commands without having any reluctancy to say why, I feel. Rid yourself of that nonsense. That opposes and taints your shahada. It taints and it will corrupt your testimony when you say, I feel. That's not right. It's in you. Your argument is not with Ahlul Sunnah. Your argument is with Rabbul Alameen. Have that same answer that you're given in this dunya. Have that answer. Are you ready to use that same answer with Allah on the day of resurrection? When you meet Allah, Allah's going to say, why didn't you submit to this affair? Oh, I felt like, are you ready for that? I felt like that was wrong, oh Allah. I feel that wasn't right. You will find that your shahada, like we said, it will be incomplete or it will be rendered naqis. It will be rendered either nullified or will be incomplete. Like we said, the only reason why we've been put on this earth is to cleanse our ubudiyyah of Allah. That's it. To actualize it. To make sure we upright people and we have carried out the establishment of the worship of Allah. And that comes in three affairs. Number one is to stay away from polytheism. Number two is to stay away from innovations. Not only just staying away from polytheism, also likewise separating yourself from its people. And also Ahlul Bid'ah, also ridding yourselves of innovations and its people. And thirdly, likewise, people of sins. Sins likewise. If you have now established and actualized these affairs, you will be from those who will come on the day of resurrection. Well, Allah Ta'ala says about the tongue of Ibrahim, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On the day will your money or your children won't avail you except the one who comes to Allah with a pure heart. And the meaning of the pure heart, as Shaykh al-Islam mentions, it says, those who rid himself from his heart from polytheism and from kufr and from bid'ah and from sins. That means to come with Allah with a sound heart. And it's a hard struggling affair. That you have to beg Allah to give you tawfiq before you die, to allow you to die in that state, because it is it's a struggle on a daily basis. One trying to struggle with his nafs and trying to keep himself purified before he meets Allah. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to increase us in beneficial knowledge. And we ask Allah Ta'ala also likewise, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, to also understand these affairs and these fundamentals. Like we just said, the title is not to slaughter in a place in which it was slaughtered in it for other than Allah, or those celebrations that they had, in which we'll talk about how it's dangerous to even partake in those celebrations, whether it be from Halloween or Thanksgiving or Christmas. Especially Christmas, it's filled with paganistic ways. Filled with it. All you gotta do is go on Google, type the origin of Christmas. You'll be like, whoa. And a Muslim that has jealousy and wants to purify his heart, he will stay far away from those affairs, due to that which he knows that is in it of the most disgusting, filthiest sin that any human being could commit, which is polytheism. And we have said on many occasions that polytheism is worse than murder. It's worse than bloodshed. It's worse than homosexuality, even though all of those sins are destructive. At the head of the list is polytheism. The head of the list. That's the reason why we're starting with these affairs, because you see that the Muslims are still involved in it. And then they wonder, oh, you Muslims also, Ahl Sunnah, you always start with Tawheed, Aqeedah, all this. Why? Because look at all you got to do is just look on social media, seeing Muslims doing it. That's the reason why we're focusing on it, because it's people still doing it. And Allah is not going to give us success if these things that we keep doing. If we're committing the most destructive and evilest of all sins, how do you think that Allah is going to give us victory? And you committing the most filthiest, disgusting sin that any human being could commit, and you think that Allah is going to give us tawfiq? We ask Allah Ta'ala to give us basira, and to also likewise give us tawfiq to die upon steadfastness. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to raise the Muslims out of that which they're in of humiliation, and to return them back to the haqq. And also likewise, lastly, if there's a new shahada on the sisters' side, I ask the sisters, please, to be soft with them. Teach them what I just talked about now. Start with the monotheism of Allah. Start with the tawheed of Allah. Warn them against the deviant sects out there. Don't beat them down. Well, sister, you got to put your eyebrows is plucked. We know that's wrong, but that's going to come, inshallah, when they got the foundation down packed. Start with the origin, the foundation. Implant that in their head. Get them to have knowledge of Allah, because the majority of Muslims falls into sins due to their ignorance of Allah Ta'ala. If they're not going to have proper manners with Allah, they're not going to have proper manners with the creation. I'll say it again. If the people do not have proper manners with their Lord, they are not going to have proper manners with the creation. If they have proper mannerism with Allah, Rabbul Alameen, everything will fall into place. They will respect the creation. And they will treat the people nice, because they know that Allah is holding me accountable for how I treat people. So we ask Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وقيم الصلاة.